Hello dear students, I welcome you to this course on gender justice and workplace security. We were discussing the introductory module of the course, and in the process we have tried to introduce the concepts of sex and gender, the difference between them, how gendered socialization happens in society, and the gender stereotyping which tends to differentiate between man and women and thereby tend to make one group superior to the other. To continue with the discussion, when we said that there is a typical differentiation which happens in society, we can look into some of the myths which go with this gendered stereotyping which happens in society. Thus, when we speak of man, we tend to look into or view certain characteristics or certain qualities as being natural to him and certain which are natural to her, and there is a sort of a difference which we attribute to it and also a different value which we attribute to both the activities. Thus, to say men are better at mechanical tasks, this is the general perception or viewpoint of society, where it is felt that those tasks which require more mechanical doing of work, they come naturally and better to men. Now, women on the other hand, as we said before, the rearing of children, the nurturing, etc., are automatically viewed as feminine jobs. So, therefore, it is felt that women are better at nurturing tasks. It comes from a perception that women can do certain kinds of jobs and cannot do certain others, because probably the feeling is that they are weak, they are timid, they do not have that much stamina, they do not have that much ability, and sometimes it also goes to the extent of saying that they do not have that much of intelligence to perform certain categories of works. So, maybe as an example, if one looks into physically exhausting jobs, then in laborious tasks or physical jobs, it is always felt that women should be left out of those jobs, because they do not have the capabilities to cope up with the requirements. It is more for a man who by nature is laborious, is hard working, aggressive, dominating, and even more rational, and therefore, they can be better or they can do better in certain types of activities. Women are better at homes, they are submissive, emotional, soft by nature, they are mentally dependent on men for their well-being. Now, as I have captioned it, these are basically myths which have stemmed out from this gender stereotyping which has happened over generations and centuries, and which make us to believe that one group can do certain things which the other group is incapable of. Very recently, there was this discussion of engaging women in combat jobs in the defense. Somewhere, traditionally speaking, it was thought of as being most unsuitable for women to be employed in such jobs. But as we see with the changing times, there is a breaking down of these barriers or these myths which are there in the minds of a person, and with the breakdown of these myths, we are finding more and more women coming and joining activities which till then were thought to be only male dominated or which the men could only do. So, therefore, this is how somewhere the myths go on to work a long way in clouding the mind of people, the society, into believing that there exists a difference when there does not exist other than the physical difference, but the society makes us to believe that in the behavior, in the attitudes, in the values, in the roles, there do exist a difference between man and a woman, because of which one should conform to one certain type of behavior while the other should conform to some other type of behavior. Now, in this context, one can look into the existing Indian society. What is the position of women in Indian society? Now, to start with, one can say that it is always in a process of change. So, one or I would not stress on the fact that for all periods of time it has remained the same or it has not made any change. But have we been able to remove all the differences? The answer to that would be no, and therefore, even today what we find is patriarchy is largely dominant in Indian society. Somewhere there is an understanding or a belief of the superiority of the men, whether in the family or in the society, over women, and in all sectors one finds this dominance of patriarchy. Now, women also in this society are culturally conditioned to accept the role of a subordinate. Why do we come to that conclusion? We come to that conclusion if we look into the situation of women which may be manifests in the child preference, health, education, economic opportunities, etc. If we look into all of these or some of these, one can clearly understand that there is somewhere a preference for the male over the female, valuing the male over the female. So, with regard to a simple choice of a child, there is always a preference for the male child over the female child. As we spoke of in the very first lecture with regard to female feticide, that basically comes from the preference of the male child over the female child. Though we know that sex determination is not permissible, in many situations families illegally go on for such sex determination. There are abortions which take place, there are killing of fetuses which take place, because somehow the family does not want a girl child, but would prefer to have a male child. In the matters of health, in the matters of education, and definitely in issues of economic opportunities, the possibilities and situations for men and women are completely different. And therefore, probably one can somewhere say that in Indian society, we are not still in a situation where we have achieved equality of both the sexes, but there is a sharp difference when it comes to certain categories of women, and the situation is even worse for women of different classes, of different religions, of different groups, or disabled women, etc. The situation is more adverse. So, if we want to therefore look into the status of women in society, in this regard we will try to understand what is the position of women in Indian society in particular, and for that matter we will go back slightly into history and then proceed further to see what has been the changing position of women over the years. Now, this is one of the quotes which is there and which goes to show that throughout history this issue of discrimination, the issue of inequality, the issue of inferiority has been constantly perpetrated by the society, and it has therefore resulted in a situation where today we find it very difficult to attribute the concepts of equality, liberty, freedom to the women. It says that all history attests that man has subjugated women to his will, used her as a means to promote his self gratification, but never has he desired to elevate her to the rank she was created to fill. He has done all he could to debase and enslave her mind, and now he looks triumphantly on the ruin he has wrought and says the being he has thus injured is his inferior. So, the story in terms of history has been the same, one of subjugation of man, subjugation of women by man, and therefore, the entire story of struggle of women's rights has been one of constant struggle with regard to the various inequalities which are facing her, the various denial of rights which she was faced with. So, the right to the self, the right to vote, right to own property, right to inheritance, right to marriage, divorce, etc., right to employment in and many others. In each of these, there has been a constant struggle to secure her rights, and the struggle has been really difficult, spaced over maybe centuries, and in some cases even today it is a struggle which is continuing. Just as an example, in some nations women did not have the right to vote, something which in present times we find it but natural that everyone in a society, in a state must be given the right to cast the vote. But you had nations where after a long war or a long struggle, women were given the rights, because earlier it was felt that women were not citizens and therefore they could not be granted the right to vote. Similarly, the right to own property, that has also been the result of a constant struggle of women, which even India in some situations we have seen where the daughter in the family was not given a share in the property. However, in the process of legislative and judicial developments, there it has now come to a position of somewhere equality being addressed in the process. To see the status of women, we will try to see it since the very beginning, where in Indian society we generally divide it into certain periods: the early Vedic period, the later Vedic period, the medieval period, and thereafter British India, and thereafter independent India. This is just to give an understanding as to what has been the changing position of women over the ages, and whether what we now say as a position of inequality, as a position of inferiority, whether that has been the position of women in Indian society in the whole period of time. If one sees into early Vedic period, one would find a different picture. Now, generally literature and historians have given many accounts with regard to the position of women in different literature, and from that one can get an idea that in the early Vedic period somewhere women had a fair amount of freedom and equality. It is seen that in that situation or in that period, women participated in all spheres of activity like men, studied in gurukuls, underwent upanayana, participated in art, music, dance and even warfare, performed religious duties alongside men. So, she was in the same position in terms of her valor, in terms of the activities that she was entitled to do, and in terms of pursuing education, in terms of the rituals and religious practices that a man was entitled to. There was somewhat an equality or a sense of equality which prevailed in that situation. The ill practices which we call of Parda system did not exist in the early Vedic period. There were equal rights in selecting partners. Polygamy was a rare event in those times, and dowry was somewhat unknown except for royals. The concept of remarriage of widows was also known. So, therefore, this also goes to show that many of the evils which penetrated into the system or the society at a later point of time was non-existent during the early days, and situations of freedom in choosing partners etc. were available to women. It was therefore identified as a period of feminine glory based on liberty, equality and cooperation. So, that was the starting point where we have some literature of the early Vedic period indicating towards the equal position of men and women in society. Somewhat things took a turn for the worse in the later Vedic period. Now, it is where the ills in the system it perpetrated, and it went on to grow over a period of time. Now, many a times we refer to the Manusmriti and the sayings of Manu which indicate towards the inferior or lower status of women in society, such as a woman should always be under the dominance of a male member, etc. So, these were a part of the later Vedic period where the status of women suffered a setback. Now, what happened was there were various restrictions which were imposed on the rights and privileges of a woman. So, the issue of that the birth of a daughter was unwelcome started during those times where there was a basic difference made out between a son and a daughter, and therefore, the burdens and liabilities which come with the daughter were emphasized upon, and therefore, the birth of a daughter was unwelcome in the family. Now, whereas in the early period there was the issue of educating the girl child along with the male child, in this period education to women was denied, Upanayana was prohibited, Vedic studies were discouraged, women's participation in religious ceremonies etc. were discouraged. the evil of pre-puberty marriages set in. This was also therefore the time where early marriages or child marriages started to make its way. In the early Vedic period, there are various examples of women remaining married, of women exercising their choice of whom to marry, when to marry, but in the later Vedic period, there was this situation where this child was no longer exposed to education, were kept illiterate within the domain of the house and were married off very early in life. The subservience of women was established, yet in those situations also we find some indications that the law recognized the right to property, especially the concept of stridhan, women's property, which is existent, was there even during those times. Nevertheless, there was a major change or a major shift from the early Vedic to the later Vedic period, where gradually the lowering of the position of women started. Then came the medieval period. Now, the medieval period, as we know, is marked by various conquests and invasions by different outside people into the country or into the what we now call as India, and therefore, with these invasions what happened, the position of women further deteriorated, because with the invasions these invasions were seen as a major threat to the well-being of women, to the safety of women, and therefore, women were further put behind the walls, and their every sort of movement were restricted. So, they were put behind veil, what we have as the parda system. The movement of women were seriously restricted. Now, this was the time where various ills gradually came to have its hold on Indian society. The system of sati, the system of child marriage, female infanticide, dowry, polygamy, devdasi system, etc., started to make its way. So, all the evils which were existent in society now became very prominent, because there was a big question with regard to protecting the women from the invaders, and in the process of protecting the women, women were pushed to the corners, to a situation where all rights, all freedoms and all liberties were taken away from them, and they were left with nothing except for being a inferior class, or except for being similar to maybe the property of man, and they were subjected to various evils. Now, with the coming of the British, there was a change in the system or a change in the perception, because there were Western influences and education which came to breathe fresh air into the entire societal understanding and belief. So, therefore, for the first time, concepts of liberty, equality made its way, and there were major movements which took place, the social reform movement, the nationalist movement, etc., which took place, and these tried to address the issues of rights of women and tried to improve the position of women in society. As we know, it is also during the British period that many of the ills which were existent, one prominent being the practice of sati, burning the woman in the funeral pyre of her husband, was predominant and something which was continuing at a mass level in different parts of the country. that came to be addressed under the leadership of certain Indians, and along with the British, where certain laws were passed in the country which tried to prohibit this practice and penalize the offenders who coerced or forced the women to burn herself in the funeral pyre. So, sati, ill treatment of widows, widow remarriage, child marriage, denial of property rights, education, temple prostitution, referring more to the system of Devdasis, all were or many of them were sought to be addressed by the changing laws or by the changing perceptions with regard to the liberty or equality which were brought by the British system of education and the British reformist movement. So, a sort of a awareness was created in this process, whereby the rights of women were sought to be established. However, much remained to be done. It was only a starting point, and not that there were a major difference which could be brought about in the process, but this was definitely a starting point with regard to understanding that the hitherto existing position of women needs to be specifically addressed and changed, and it is important that her rights need to be recognized in society. So, therefore, once we have understood the background with regard to this status of women in society, we can then move forward with regard to what is the existing position and rights of women in society as of now. So, we will continue with this in the next lecture.